Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So in this video, we're going to be talking about a hex fractal that could be playing out. We chatted a little bit about it during our live stream, during which we actually wicked up to 3.06 cents, right? So we caught it live on stream. If you want to check out the live stream, I'll leave a card here so you can go and check that out. So it was fun, and I talked a little bit about this fractal on there, but I decided to make a dedicated video on it. So let's go ahead and analyze this fractal. So what exactly am I talking about, right? Well, if you take a bars pattern from what happened back here, December 15th, 2019 to February 6th, 2020, you see this U-shaped pattern, this sort of, post-hype dump, which over here was the post-launch dip, and over here is post-big payday dip, right? So a post-hype dip into a recovery, a parabolic recovery. So that's what happened back here, and this is what happened over here. Again, not a perfect fit, right? Like if you align, depending on where you choose to align things, it's a rough estimate of the same characteristic pattern, right? And then what happened afterwards? Well, if we grab our Elliott correction wave over here, a typical correction wave may be composed of an ABC pattern. And you can drag the C wave, this 3 wave, all the way down to here if you want, to the actual capitulation on March 13th. But that was sort of a freak event which required very specific conditions, in my opinion. So instead of seeing a capitulation to the downside as heavy as that, we rather saw a sort of flatter ABC correction here. Whereas again, back here you could argue it was an actual ABC correction where it wasn't flat, but rather, I think this is called the zigzag, okay, where the bottom of the C wave actually dips beneath the A wave, but it can also be flat like this. So whichever way you put it, you had this parabolic U-shaped formation followed by an ABC wave. Again, over here, parabolic U-shape followed by a ABC correction. And then what did we do from there? Well, back here, what happened? We pumped about 4x, okay? What happened over here? We pumped about 3.7x, okay? So, and look at where this pump took us. It took us to 2.5 pennies, which was approximately, 20% above prior all-time highs. Prior all-time highs over here were around the 4.7 region, and then over here you can see it was about 10%. So what I'm trying to get at essentially is that after this ABC wave, we rallied to a high that was higher than where we started our correction, right? So if you grab a brush, for example, I'm talking about here, the beginning of our correction, and this high was higher. And I'm saying the same thing over here. We had the high at the beginning of our correction, and then this rally after the C wave led us to a higher high. And then what happened after? Well, we saw a dip, a tiny dip, that actually went beneath this high over here, right? And what happened over here? We saw a dip that went beneath this high over here. So to further illustrate this, let's just place a line there and a line over here. And you see what I'm getting at, that this local high and then dip region were essentially above and below this prior point. So again, above and below this prior point that we're talking about. And then what happened after? This is getting to be a messy chart, right? But what happened after is we had a third high. And what are we having right now? What's happening right now is we're having a third high. And then the last part that happened was history, right? We saw just about a week of accumulation before the infamous, or not the infamous, but rather the legendary move that took us up another 12x. Okay, so this is the fractal that I'm seeing. Obviously, it hasn't played out on exact time frames or even exact amounts, etc. Like you see certain different things happening, right? The narrative behind this dump was different than the narrative behind this dump over here. This ABC wave back here was characterized by a pretty nasty capitulation by the bottom of it, whereas over here it was flatter. And And again, this dip, you could say this dip here, which was, I think, like 40%, was bigger than this dip right here, was actually much, much smaller. I think it was just about 20% or so. But the characteristic shape is the same, and obviously this happened back here much quicker than the time frame that this fractal could be playing out right here. Just to give you some indication, from, let's say, this point to this point, or let me actually get, the date range from the top of our ABC correction to that third high, about 63 days. And over here from the top of our ABC correction to our current highs, about 125 days. So approximately twice as long it's taking. So if this is a fractal, it's taking twice as long, right? It's twice as slow playing out. So something like this, where we saw a week of accumulation followed by a 12x in 30 days, we might see something longer, right? We might see 2 weeks of accumulation followed by maybe, a 10x in 60 days. So this is pure speculation, by the way. But what would something like that look like? Well, if we accumulated around here for, let's say, 2 weeks, that would put us around here. And then if we had a 10x or so over the course of 2 months, that would be July 21st, put us at around 27 cents or so. So something like that. Obviously, we have no idea what's going to happen. It most likely will look nothing like this. We could see corrections along the way. It might not even play out like this if it's not a fractal, but I'm seeing a lot of similarities here. So I don't want to ignore it, and I did want to point this out because if you do some chain analysis, then you see that there are certain actors who were playing back in these days who have re-entered the playing field, so to speak. So this is the fractal I see. This is, like I said, we talked a little bit about it during the live stream, but here is your full-on dedicated video for what I think could be playing out. Could we see a 10, 20, 30 cent hex in the next few months? I think it coincides with a lot of other models. I think it converges with the fact that, we could be seeing a bubble into these higher valuations, right? Because a 20 cent hex by July would simply be on this green band here. Let's see, July 18th. Let's say July 18th or so, 20 cents could happen. We've reached higher levels of overvaluation in the past. Something like that would be just a 5x from the red curve, which would put us around here. And I've mentioned again in prior videos that we've reached these levels of 5x beyond our exponential fit a few times, and even more so over here, almost 5x over here, so 3.5x. So again, the longer this buildup happens, could we see more accumulation? Sure, right? We can go up, down, or sideways. None of this is ever financial advice. Make your own decisions. Your generic disclaimer for this video, do your own research. And just to finish this video off, an update on the regression rainbow. But by the time we reached 3 pennies earlier today, our price was actually right on this orange curve. So with that said, appreciate you watching. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and you've gotten this deep in. Leave a like if you enjoyed this kind of hybrid technical and quantitative analysis. And I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.